Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt man! All right! Episode 279 of Shirt Show! We're talking with Kyle from Made Lab in Texas! Let's go!
Hey guys, my name is Dylan. I am the owner of Upstate Merch and the host of the Shirt Show podcast. My guest today was my good buddy Kyle from Made Lab. We got into a bunch of conversations about production management and just kind of like how to deal with the whole thing. We got into a ton of different things. We talked about now him working at Made Lab and how important it is to kind of spread around and get knowledge from a bunch of different sources. So this was a really fun one. If you're into kind of tweaking things and helping your shop grow with efficiencies, Kyle's a good guy to reach out to. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to help out the show, the best thing you can do is share it with friends. Go on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is you want to do on YouTube. Hit the like button. That would be awesome. Subscribe would be even better. Share a story on Instagram of where you are when you're listening to this episode or what you're printing or what you're doing. It would be awesome. It helps us out a ton. Also, if you want to hear from me and a couple other people now, you can sign up for the Shirt Show newsletter. Go to shirtshowofficial.com/newsletter to sign up. I write them every week on Sunday from my kitchen table. It's a little bit about what's going on with me in the shop, and then it's shop hacks, tips and tricks from John McGee. We now have current events in our industry with Printing United, and Lisa from Don't Lose Hope is going to be doing marketing hacks. So check it out. It's free. You get one every week. It's pretty cool. This show would not be possible without our amazing partners. Frank. It all starts with a screen. Whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, greatfuckingscreens.com, or ffffrank.com. Cleaning screens is no fun, but Easy Way makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals and equipment make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Right now is a great time to check them out because they have a new monthly giveaway going on where you have a chance to win $250 in product credit. Head over to easyway.com/giveaway to enter today. Easy Way is the easiest way. Graphics is your source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. They can help any size shop from just starting out to enterprise level. Looking to add a hero to your art department? Check them out at graphicsource.com. SNS is your premier partner for the apparel industry with one website, one purchase order, and 14 distribution centers. With over 100 beloved brands, you can streamline your ordering and hit free freight faster than ever. SNS has 1 to 2 day shipping with the lowest error rate in the industry. Be sure to order your blanks from ssactivewear.com. I have a whole thing I usually read for Gildan and American Apparel, but I just want to say I was going through my closet the other day and every shirt I own in there is a Comfort Colors. It's my favorite shirt to wear. I love printing on them. I love selling them to other customers and having them experience what they feel like. Me personally, it's my favorite shirt. I don't care. You can tell me what you like and don't like, but the Comfort Colors is a classic in my opinion. I love it. That's all I want to say. Go buy more Comfort Colors. It's sweet. It's my favorite. 1717, baby, all day. For over 90 years, Stahl's has been the leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they offer some of the best products, but they're always looking to innovate and educate our industry on all things heat press. Head over to stahls.com to order your transfers and check them out on YouTube to be taught a thing or two. That website is full of so many transfer options and cool things. We have a bunch of new products from them and we love it. So make sure you go to stahls.com and check out what they have to offer. Ryonet has always been that solid go-to resource for screen printers. Not only are their supplies super reliable, but their network of education is next level. Whether you're figuring things out or fine-tuning your process, they've got your back. Check them out at screenprinting.com. If you're new to screen printing or you've been around for forever, just looking for a group of people that are like-minded and want to hang, go to shirtshowofficial.com/discord, or there's going to be a link in the YouTube video, or we have it in our link tree on our Instagram. Go sign up. It's free. It is a forum that has everything to do with our industry in it. And it is monitored. There are no trolls. You can ask anything you want to ask, and the people in there will gladly help you out. Again, you can sign up shirtshowofficial.com/discord. I just want to say I love this show. I love doing it every week. I love the community that we have built. Lots of new things are to come. We kind of have been revamping things, putting out awesome content, in my opinion. The website is brand new and there's a lot of really new, cool stuff on there. We have articles now from people that I trust. We've been going through and doing all the shop hacks that we've ever had in the show. They are in there with links. We have an Amazon store now with shop hack stuff that's easy for you to find. Lots of cool new things happening. We're going to try to do spring breaks, summer camps coming up next year where you guys can come out to our event and hang out and learn some awesome stuff. So if you can, go to shirtshowofficial.com, check all that stuff out. That would be great. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoy it. Have a good one. What's up, handsome?
What's up?
You in the workshop.
Yeah, dude. Garage Dog World HQ.
One of my favorite things about you is like seeing things on Instagram where you were very much like me with like the grilling in the yard and like the tools and the organization. I'm like, oh, Kyle, I love it. It's so good.
I'm all about having the right tool for the job, man.
You are the right tool for the job.
Sometimes. I try to be.
Uh-huh. For everyone listening, this is my good buddy Kyle. He used to be production manager at Shirt Kong. And we can get into a little bit of that story, but you kind of got a whole bunch of new stuff going on, right? Like you trying to figure out life and ended up at Made Lab, correct?
Yeah. So I'm in charge of the training and support program at Made Lab now, which has been just awesome. I'm kind of, traveling around and, spreading the gospel of screen printing and, teaching people like best practices and stuff. And it's super fun. I'm really enjoying it.
That's awesome. When did you first get into screen printing?
So, I feel like almost cliche sort of story, but I played in a bunch of punk bands, in my teen years through even till today. But I took like every shop class there ever was in high school. And the shop teacher actually bought like a small like screen printing shop. So we had a manual and a light table and like a film printer and a little tiny conveyor dryer. And it was like kind of an extracurricular, but like I was down in the shop like the whole time anyway. And he was like,
as much as you could.
Yeah, as much as I possibly could. So it was like, oh, you want to like learn how to do this and stuff. And so it was like kind of a class, but kind of not. It was kind of just like a passion project of the teacher. And then like I was stoked on it. So we ended up printing all of like the, the senior sweats and like, stuff for the baseball team, football team, stuff like that. And then that kind of turned into like, hey, can I come in on Saturday and like print for my punk band? So I was always really stoked on it. And then it obviously went hand in hand with playing in the punk bands and yada, yada. So eventually when I decided, I wasn't going to be a rock star and I had to grow up and get a real job.
You're still a rock star in my eyes.
Yeah. But when I had to, like get a real job, I applied at like every screen printing shop in my area because I just knew that it was something that I liked and it's something that I wanted to do and something that I would hope like wouldn't feel like work every day.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. It's been awesome.
I mean, to a degree. Like there's definitely days.
Some days it feels like work, but overall,
No. Well, the cool thing about it is you get to be like creative and you get to be like, I even feel like for Bill, like there's a lot of days where he's like stoked on the idea of like, oh, cool. I get to like move this here and pull this here and play with this and get the shop to flow just right. Like it's kind of every day a little bit different regardless of the manufacturing side of it. Yeah.
And I mean, you do get to play with the art and it's like, I always like told like new guys who came in who I was training, it's like, we're going to do the same thing every day, but it's never going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the fun of it, where it was like, it was always, there was always a challenge to be had,
Mm-hmm. And that's like the exciting part is like figuring that out. And then when it's done, you're like, hell yeah, we did it.
Exactly. And then you have that like instant gratification of like this physical thing at the end where you're like, yeah, I did that, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. So where did you land when you were looking for shops? Was it the first one, or did you do a couple?
Like out of high school and out of bands and stuff, I was like, I'd serve tables, bus tables, you know, dishing, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I applied at a bunch of shops. Shirt Kong was the one that I wanted to land in. It just had a better vibe. Like it had this aesthetic that the other ones around town didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually applied there for a customer service position because that was what was available. And I didn't get it. And then I went back and worked at the restaurant for like another year. And then I saw that there was a posting, like another job posting, like on Instagram. And I just like drove there. And it was like, I got the job like on the spot and like started the next Monday. And then the rest is history. I was there for a decade.
Yeah. I wonder, do you know why you didn't get the customer one? I don't see you doing that really.
I'm not sure, but like honestly, it's all for the best. Like I wanted to be in the back.
Yeah.
I wanted to be back there playing with those machines and doing all that stuff.
You were just looking.
I just
for
wanted to
get
get it. I just wanted to get in the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You got the job there. What did you start doing?
So when I started, I was a press assistant. So offloading shirts and kind of just learning the ropes,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, you know, taking out the trash, all that sort of stuff. And then moved up fairly quickly. Cause I ended up being production manager for the majority of my time there, probably 8.5, 9 years of it. I was.
So how long do you think that, because this is kind of what I want to talk to you about, is like the transition of going from entry level to basically production manager and then seeing all of those levels of the shop, because that was one thing that like I really respected about you when I had been to Shirt Kong and seen you and everything, is like you seem to do a little of everything and you're not afraid to like get your hands dirty in all these positions instead of just like sitting back and being like, do this. Like you were cleaning screens, scraping squeegees, like making fucking scrapers and like all these other things. Like you were doing all of these projects. So like, what was it like for you to go from offloading to be like, okay, well, the next thing we want you to do is like printing, and the next thing we want you to do is this and that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just with like, I think I do it. It's just my personality, and I do it in my personal life and a lot of things where I just like, if I want to do something, I feel like if anything's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And like, I just wanted to be good at all of it. And I felt like if I was going to be the manager and I was going to be in charge of this department, I should know how to do all of these things. And hopefully I can do all of these things at the best level, you know,
Right.
like I wanted to be down in the trenches and like doing these stuff and getting my hands dirty. I think it created, you know, I just liked doing it where like I could be part of the entire process. And then I think it created a good environment for the team where they could see that like, I'm not just sitting in a chair telling them what to do. It's like, I'm over here
Right.
doing it with you, you know?
Yeah. One of the things that like I like to see too with employees is kind of like, and I think you're this person where you'll take the initiative to, maybe you get a new position or whatever, and then you'll do research either at work or at home or whatever to like, oh, that's how this is done, or this is why this is done, not necessarily because the person before me told me. And I think that plays a lot into like the Made Lab thing now of like, okay, well, why do these things happen and why do we do it this way?
Yeah.
What are some things like that with like working at Shirt Kong that you were like, okay, well, I want to dive into this, because I know that was kind of like your thing a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the answer of like, you know, this is how it's done because of the simple answer of like, I do it like this because that's the way I've always done it, is a bad answer, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way to do it. So I was always trying to come up with ways, like I'm not Einstein, you know, but like, and like, we're just a small, medium-sized shop in Missouri. Right. But like, I was like, I wanted to take the time to like learn stuff. Like, how are other companies doing it? there are other companies doing this on like a massive scale. And it's like, we don't necessarily need to do that, but like, what are some takeaways that I can get of like increasing efficiency to where I can do more with what we have?
Right.
You know, where it was just like, I was always interested in making, you know, it kind of goes back to the right tool for the job thing. It's like, if I can make this easier and I can make this feel less like work and we're still getting the same amount done, if not more done, everybody's happy.
Right. Well, you don't even really know like how well you're doing the job if you don't know how the process works necessarily. You know what I mean? Like you could just be told like coat this screen, burn this screen, do this. But if you're like, well, why do I coat it, 1-2 instead of 1-1? Or why do I let it sit in a rack for 24 hours when really it might only need X amount of time? And all these different things. Like if you don't know all these variables, then you're just going to do it the long way all the time. So researching it kind of gives you.
Yeah. And I think that's where the research, like I read a ton of stuff and I like talked to a lot of people, and even like once Church Show started, that opened up a lot of doors on my end too, where it was like, I could talk to more people because people were like more willing to answer the phone because then they like knew who we were and they were like, and it was like, okay, great. And now I can talk to people and I can like realize like, it's like
that's
okay,
my cheat code.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Like people think that I do this for like, I do this for fun. No, I definitely do this for fun. But I'm just saying that like, I get so much more insight into certain things, or I can call certain shops or visit certain shops that if I was just Joe Printer, they'd be like, you're not allowed in here. But with Church Show or with like working with M&R, it's like, oh, come on in, like show it, like we'll show you everything. And I'm like, oh, I get to take this back to my shop and like, I figured out how this guy does it or whatever.
Exactly. And I think that that's what's been great about Church Show, that it's like opened a lot of doors, like just like, not just for like you and I personally, but like the industry as a whole. Like now there's like more of a conversation. And I think that's happening with this, and then like with other things just in general. Yeah, it rules. Cause like, I never quite understood like wanting to like gatekeep like your way of doing it. If like I'm like talking to shops in California and it's like, dude, we're not printing for the same people. We're not competing for the same jobs. Like, why shouldn't we both like bounce some ideas off of each other and then we're both better? And then like, what's the harm in that? It just makes it better for everyone. And like, I think that's a big part of what Made Lab is trying to do too, is just like kind of really get good education out there. And like, I think that's part of what like Church Show's doing. And I just think it's awesome,
Yeah. The thing is I get calls from certain friends. I will say certain friends. Some people could probably guess. Certain friends who are like, hey, why are you telling all these people all of these things? And why are you sharing all of this information? Because, we worked really hard to get it and whatever. And then there's this side that's just like, obviously like, oh, cool. Like I actually found this, and like people who contribute and like build on the idea and like whatever. And I can see it from both sides, because really, and what's funny is I feel like everybody will share, for the most part, share technical knowledge on printing or like how to produce a thing. Nobody, like very few people share sales or, techniques on how they get the customers. Like that stuff is like hush hush. Like nobody even really talks about it. Like if you go to another shop and be like, how do you get your customers? They're going to be like, all right, yeah, over here's the dark room. Like they're not going to tell you that kind of thing, which I totally get and respect. Like, it's like, that's your way of getting customers. I don't want to necessarily, like, I will talk about in generalities of like, this is how you should like approach new customers or this, that, the other thing. I won't give you all the secret sauce and all of that, because that's what makes or breaks a shop necessarily. Is like your ability to get a client, keep a client, and whatever. But I think for the most part, shops can share the manufacturing side of it, because I think it's a huge plus for our industry. Because if the ones like me and you, and there's a million other people out there who are like very dedicated to the craft and the idea, and this is our career, this isn't a stepping stone, whatever, is those shops will eventually be the ones where it's like, okay, with all this digital shit happening and everything else, of like, we're standing the test of time to being like, well, we offer quality, like high tech screen printing or whatever. And it'll make all of our jobs better. It'll make what we do worth more because we have more knowledge and we have more ability and everything else. And it's like, let all these people who don't want to do those things fizzle out, and let all the people who want to share all this knowledge and grow and learn everything about their craft flourish and survive and live. It's hard enough out there for everybody else. Like, why can't we just make it easier to a degree? And that's always been my argument, is like, I came from a poor household and nothing, and like kind of built this whole thing myself. And like, I always call it getting kicked in the nuts, but it's like, I've been kicked in the nuts a million times, and I see a new shop come and I'm like, I could really save this person from getting drilled in the nuts like 1,000 times. Like, why wouldn't I tell them, like, hey, I know you're trying to do it this way, and you, like, it's on you if you want to do it that way. But like, I've tried 999 times this way, and then I found that this way works for me. I would rather give them that, and then they get to jump forward to learning the next thing and the next thing to succeed, than to see them fail and close their doors because they couldn't get past this hurdle or something. So
no, and I agree. I mean, I think the sales on the front end part of this business is more than half of the battle, Yeah. But I mean, that's never really been my part of it, but it's hard. It's hard in just the back, but I feel like if we can, like, as an industry, and like come together and come up with, like, if we can make everybody's shirts look a little bit better, it doesn't hurt anyone,
Right. Yeah.
And I think getting people the right information and the right education, and then trying to steer people away from, like, there's so much misinformation on, Facebook and Reddit, and it's like, it's hard to, like, I'll sit on Reddit and I'll find myself like typing out a paragraph to, like, somebody I don't know. And it's like, why am I wasting my time, like, telling you this? But, and then I'll, like, delete it. But yeah, I think if we could,
No, you don't. You make a fake name and you send it.
Yeah. I have a burner account where I'm just like, no, but I think if we can use, like, platforms like this and Made and stuff to get good information out there, just as far as, like, the manufacturing side of things, and just like, hey, here's pre-press and the print floor, and like, here's, and it's the same thing, like you said, like, I don't know the answer exactly, but I know what doesn't.
That's the thing is,
I can tell you what doesn't work.
But that's the thing is, like, I try very hard to say out loud on this show that I am in no way, shape, or form an expert in anything. I don't want people to come on the show thinking, oh, Dylan says he's the fucking man and everything's perfect and this and that and the other thing. I am just a vessel to sit here and talk to you about this. And the way I always approach things too is, people ask me, like, oh, well, who's the best person to ask for this thing or that thing or whatever. And I'm like, what you need to do, because most of screen printing is kind of an art form. Like, everybody does everything different. You could get the 5 or 10 most experts in screen printing in a room, and I guarantee they're going to disagree on, like, so many things. They're going to be like, oh, well, I do it this way, or I do it this way, or I only use Newman rollers. Oh no, I use statics, but I use thin thread, or oh, I do this, or I like this duro or whatever. And it's like, everyone's going to disagree because they do it a certain way. So what you need to do if you're in this industry is you need to listen to everything and then try everything, and then find out what one works for you. So that's the thing with the show. We might talk about reclaim, or we might talk about, like, pre-press or this and that. Like, if it was a one and done, like, this is the true way to do it, we would talk about it once and then never bring it up again. But the thing is we can bring it up with 150 different shops, get 150 different answers. And then you can look at those and be like, oh, well, the average is basically, like, I should be using, Frank's thin thread, or I should be using this duro, or I should be looking into these types of inks or whatever. Like, you can kind of get a bigger picture thing if you absorb all the knowledge and not just take one person's word for it. But the problem is a lot of people go online on, like, YouTube or something, and they're like, oh, industry expert or something, or someone who claims, like, this is the way. Then somebody just listens to that, and then they don't research it at all anymore. They just go with that. Then you end up with a bunch of people doing it one specific way. And it's like, well, why are you doing it that way? It's like, I don't really know. So-and-so just told me. And it's like,
yeah. And I think that's what's important about, like, you always have to keep learning. Like I've never stopped learning. Like
Yeah.
I never will within this industry. It's like, it's because it's always going to change. They're going to have, new presses and new this and new pre-press stuff and just everything. And I'm going to have to you're going to want to take those things for what they are and then see how they can work within your shop. Like not every shop is going to be the same. You don't have the same clients. You're maybe not doing the same sort of work. Like if you're doing spot color athletic stuff over here versus like somebody over here who's doing 13 color sim process separations, like you're going to need different tools to achieve those sorts of things. And it's just that's what's fun about it though. I think it's where it's like, it's the same, but it's not, where it's like, you have to,
well, there's a million variables is the problem. And you kind of just said it is like the person over here might be doing a 2-color design. Like I got asked yesterday to print a job. It was for another print shop. Actually, it came to me and was like, hey, I need a couple hundred of this, but like 100 are on cotton tees. And it's like a 5-color front, whatever. And then I need 100 on 100% poly. And then I need, 50 on a jacket or whatever. I'm like, all 3 of those are printed totally different. Like it might be the same logo, but like this one's printed with a cotton white and regular plastisol. This one's printed with 100, like a blocker base, a poly white, and then all low cure inks on top. And then this other one might need a catalyst, or we have to do it DTF or something because it's on like a rain defender windbreaker or something. You know what I mean? It's like, they're all different ways of doing it and different shops do it different ways. So it's kind of, you need to know all 3 of those skills, even though it's a customer might come to you and be like, well, it's all the same art. What do you mean? It's like, these are 3 totally different print processes. Like,
well, yeah. And I think the customer is probably just going to be ignorant of how that stuff works. And that's totally fine. I'm not expecting, the customer off the street to know that all 3 of those things are going to be different. But I think it just needs to be a conversation between like your company and how you want to tackle those things, or like, because I would, just like you're saying, I would attack those things as like 3 separate jobs. I might burn them 3 times and use different mesh counts for if I do have the barrier base on this, or this is fleece and this is, dry fit or whatever. It's like, I'm going to have to change a lot of things where it's not like I can just set it up once and run them all. And it's like, you could, but you're going to get like 1 that looks good and 2 that could look better, Well,
even like you said, like fleece, like some people will change the traps and stuff on their artwork for fleece. Sure. And it's like, all right, well, that's a different setup. Like we're doing this a different way. But again,
you got to change all your off contacts or whatever you're going to do,
Yeah. I'm just saying it's doable. It's just different, and every shop's going to do it a different way. I kind of want to get back to the whole, you went from production to management, and I kind of want to get opinions because in my eyes, that's like a thing where a lot of shops don't necessarily have a production manager. They just kind of have like press ops and an owner, and the owner kind of being like, all right, well, this and this. Like, how involved do you think you need to be, or knowledgeable you need to be on all the things in order to be like a successful like shop management person?
I mean, to be completely honest, I think it's super helpful if your production manager, like that person, knows as much as possible about the screen printing process. But at the same time, I don't think it's super necessary. It depends on what you want that person to do. So the way it kind of broke down for me at ShireKong is like, I was the production manager. So I was in charge of all of pre-press. So, we did have automation there. So I was able to, CTS to light table to developer and all of this stuff. And it kind of freed up my hands to do a lot of that. But then I would say the bigger part of my job was managing the schedule and like, okay, what's ready, what's not, what's due, what can push, what can, and it's this dance, right? Where like in a perfect world, I can say, okay, these are due in 2 days. We're printing these today, and then we're printing, just down the line.
Right.
But that's not necessarily true. You have maybe a customer didn't get back to you on art approval, or maybe we're waiting on garments that are coming out of a different warehouse for, whatever reason, or maybe, we need to reclaim screens to make sure that we have the right meshes to make these, so on and so forth. And it's just like, it's something that's difficult. And I think it's a really hard job, but it doesn't necessarily require somebody to be like print specialist or print engineer or whatever you'd want to call it. But being able to kind of juggle a schedule is a really
it's
good
almost
skill
like
that I think
it's almost like two, it's like a 50-50, like two roles of, and what I found is like you need to be like you need to be really good with people on one side, because I feel like most of it is just people management. It's like, okay, well, this person called in sick, or this person needs to be over here, or this person's having a bad day, or this thing or that thing. And they constantly have to have this flow of like, well, how do I get these jobs done with these personalities, and kind of like moving them around and making that work. And then the whole other side of it too, like you said, is just schedule management of like, that's a whole task in itself of looking at the schedule multiple times a day to see what's happening and what's changing and what needs to go to what department and this and that and the other thing. And then too, like you said, of like, all right, well, do we have the right screens for this? Do we need to order more ink for this? Do we need to like whatever to make these jobs happen in a timely manner? And that alone is like a whole thing by itself. Like that's whatever. And that doesn't count the other 50% of like, well, your press ops or this and this might not have this technical knowledge or the relationship to the office to know like, oh, this is how we're doing this. Where then you got to pop out and be like, oh, well, actually we're trying a new white and we're doing this, or we're, this needs to be hit twice, or let's go ahead and add a revolver to this or whatever. And it's kind of, it's like an amalgamation of like multiple roles put into one person.
Yeah. And I think a lot of shops do it a lot of different ways, and that's with everything, not just the production management side, but like, because the production manager could be split up into several different things. I mean, I did pre-press and all of this, which could have been its own job in itself.
Yeah.
But it was kind of nice for me to know like what was ready at any given point. And it's like, if you're not doing it yourself, that's great. But like, you need to have it like systematized, and like SOPs we were super big on, and just like knowing like, okay, this is how this is done. And then like, it might change, especially with custom work. Like you're going to, I hated making blanket statements because you're just like, I'm going to break every rule I ever set. But I don't know, just having a system and having like the lines of communication and the information as available as possible, just to where like, I just never wanted the press to stop for any sort of reason. Like if there was, I didn't want anyone ever waiting on me. So it was like, here's the schedule, here's what I want done today. And like, okay, we're going to print this 8 color and I want you to set it up, this way, and it's going to go 2 revolutions, and here's how it prints, and yada, yada. And I like did the print engineering on how that's going to work. And then we set it up and they try that. And it's like, okay, this isn't working, or we need to reburn the screen or whatever. So it's like, okay, great. Here's a 1 color. Let's run it underneath of it. We'll fix this problem. Let's get that back going. It's just all about those kind of juggling that sort of stuff, I think is what makes a good production manager, to where you can just like fix those problems on the fly, and having as much information and as much ready at any given point to where like,
right.
Because shirts on the belt is where you're going to be making your money.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think to get into like a little bit of a feelings thing real quick, and what you were talking about is like, I feel that in our industry, because it is a bunch of variables and every job is like a custom job and everything is like, it's manufacturing, but it's not like very, like everything is different. Every job is a little bit different. Everything is whatever. And I feel like a lot of people in production and shop management and in the office and everything, every part of this business is some kind of anxiety to, well, I don't want what I'm doing to hold up anybody else. And you kind of mentioned that, like, I never want somebody to be waiting on something that I need You know, it makes it to where, well, are they pissed at me because I'm taking my time on this and they need it for this job and whatever. And I feel like that kind of eats at people to a degree of like, well, I need to make sure the steps are done so that they have enough jobs for today and tomorrow. And then it's like, okay, well, I got to get those out. And then once they're done, I feel that weight lifted off of me of like, cool, I can move to the next task because I know they're not going to be waiting on me for this thing. And then so on, just like having screens done or having inks mixed or having carts ready with shirts on it and all this other stuff. Like, do you feel like as production manager, a lot of that pressure was on your shoulders? Or do you feel like you could feel that from the staff too of like, oh shit, like my job is holding up somebody else?
I mean, I was definitely concerned with making sure that I was always 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of them, to make sure that they weren't waiting on me. It didn't always work out that way, but it was always like, if I can have as many jobs ready as possible, even if I'm printing this job right now that isn't really due right now, at least it's something. And normally customers aren't upset when they get their jobs early, you know? So, I mean, it's a dance. It's a skill. It's hard to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It takes a level of care, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like my shirt show interviews are on our calendar because it's on my calendar and I don't know, whatever. But Bill saw that I was talking to you today and he's like, dude, I'm hopping on. He's like, I'm going to come on. I'm going to talk to Kyle about this stuff and that stuff. And it's like, I don't ever want to speak. I don't ever want to speak for him. I think he might have just walked by. But
when I talk to him all the time on Instagram.
Yeah. I just feel like it's like a special skill and a special kind of task and a special kind of person that can handle all of those things. It's a very difficult job.
It is. And I mean, I had with Instagram, I mean, you know, I would talk to Bill and I would talk to like Allison and, you know, we kind of had like a production manager support group in a way where you could like kind of go to vent and like bounce ideas off of each other. And it's like, dude, like, you know, because the printing's hard enough and the scheduling's hard enough. And like, but honestly, like the people were the hardest part. And I don't think that's just how it's always going to be. But
I agree. I think that,
like, how should I approach this? Like, have you run into something like this? You know, whatever the issue may be, where it's like, you know, and I think that was really good. And to be able to like have that online and be like, what do I do? What would you do?
Yeah, because if you didn't have that, you'd be like, I'm insane. Like, why is it just me?
Well,
like, why are my days like this? And it was funny. Like, I think Bill came with me to like a summer camp or something that we had done, and you and him like met face to face. And by the end of it, he was like, "We're the same person." Like everything he says is an issue for me, and everything that is positive for him is positive for me. And I was just like, that has to be so, like, that's how I feel with other shop owners, you know, to a degree with like owner stuff or whatever, like how we get looked at and all these other things is like, oh, these people get it. Like no one else really gets it other than these people. And it's got to be the same for you when you meet other production managers and you're like, oh, like no one else is going to understand the pressure that we have.
No. And I mean, it's like with talking with Bill too. It's like, you know, like, I remember that conversation when it was the summer camp at ShirtCon. We did that, like the white ink workshop we did. And, you know, we did like, we aligned on so much. He was like, dude, I have the exact same issues. Like, me too. Like, you know, like, and it was like, it was comforting to know that there was like somebody else out there. And then like, we could talk afterwards about like, you know, that's when we were getting into like, dude, what would you do? Here's my situation. Like, am I going to be an asshole if I say this? Like, you know, how should I approach it? You know, but it's just like, I think that with like myself and Bill and like, you know, somebody like Allison at Parkway, like they just really care, you know, and it's about, you know, it's about like really being like into the craft and like wanting to do a good job. And like, I don't think that everybody has that, you know, and I get it. Like some people just want to have a job and a paycheck and clock in and clock out. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that either, but I think it's good if you can find a production manager that's like truly stoked on printing and then like they'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah. And I think the thing that I've learned over the years especially with like Bill and whatever, is like, I need to get the fuck out of the way. Like in reality, as an owner, I think the best thing you can do is find somebody that's like you or Allison or whatever. And I've talked to Jared at Parkway about this before too, where it's kind of like, we have full trust in our production manager to like do. I always just tell him like, dude, I'm behind you. Like, do whatever you want to do. You know, if you need to come to me and say, I need to fire this person, or I need to, we need to buy this or do this or whatever, like, I'm behind you. Just come to me. We'll talk about it. But I'm just going to say, like, it's up to you. I have staff that come to me and ask me a question or something that has to do with production or whatever. And I'm like, you need to go through Bill. Like, don't come to me with it because I don't want to overstep him. Like, I don't want them to come to me and I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And then he comes in and he's like, why did you tell them to do this? Like, I specifically told them no already. And they went over me or to you or whatever. And now I'm just like, nah, dude, like, that's your domain. I trust you. Like, I have full faith that you like know what the fuck you're doing. And he does. So it's kind of like, I just have to give him that. And again, I think it's a big respect thing too, of just like, you are so involved in this. Like, he takes it home with him. You know what I mean? Like, he thinks about things all night. We'll leave here and go to the casino or whatever. And it's like, we have an hour and a half drive there, hour and a half drive back. Like, we're talking about work and like how to better things and this and that. Like, if it was a 9 to 5 to him, we would just listen to music and like not talk about shop at all. We would talk about something else. But it's like, it's so ingrained in us to be like, how do we make this better? How do we make this better?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I do the same thing. Like, I would take it home with me, you know, sometimes for better or for worse, you know, but it was like, you know, sometimes I'd come home and I'd be like talking to Kelsey, my wife, and she's like, all right, you've hit your limit. You got to stop.
You gotta stop.
Like, we can't talk about, you know, stencil thickness anymore over dinner tonight. But
EOM is not getting me going tonight, hun. Like, please knock it off. What do you think is like an ideal? I mean, doing it for 10 years is a good amount of time to know, like, let's say employee drama stuff aside, what do you think is like an ideal flow of a day at a print shop? Like, is it get there? Like, is it better in your opinion, get there early, have a meeting, start the day, and this is how the day should go? Like, can you give me a breakdown of what your ideal, like, we're fucking productive, shit's happening day?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I always like to see it get there early and just kind of get it over with, you know? So like, and my other idea behind that was like, I tried to push it back further and further, and I got a lot of pushback from a lot of people. So I ended up, but we did 7:30 to 4 with a half an hour lunch. And I thought we were really productive within those hours. And what was nice about that too is like, so the front of the house was 8 to 5. So not everybody wanted to stay extra and do like extra hours or everything, but some people did. So it was nice if I had, you know, a job that was hot, or I had something that like, okay, this really needs to ship tomorrow morning. It's just now figured out. It's 3:30. Who wants to stay an extra 45 minutes, an hour to help me get this done? And usually I'd have enough hands raised to like get that done. And I found that was a pretty easy way to do it. I usually did a short meeting, maybe not every day.
I was going to say, you guys had meetings daily, didn't you?
Yeah. So I didn't do a meeting with the production floor every day. I did a meeting with the production floor once a week, but I did a meeting with the front of the house and the art department every single day, going over what my day was going to be, just to make sure that I was checking their boxes.
Right. So you could be like, well, what rush jobs are coming in? What's expected with this artwork? What are some customer issues or something?
Yeah. So, I mean, we used a system, and then I took that system and would usually make a list for myself on paper. Like, okay, here's the jobs that are past due for whatever reason, due today, due tomorrow, due the next day. Here's what I've got. You know, these jobs are, because it had to be, and it was really simple. It was like, I need shirts checked in and I need the art. That's all I need. So it's like, I would go down my list. These aren't ready. Here's the information that I have that's in the system. Is there anything that didn't make it to the system? Like, did you get an email this morning? Like, you know, because that happened all the time. It's like, oh, well, they said they needed it next Wednesday, but she just emailed me and now they actually need it on Monday or whatever. So it's like, okay, great. The sooner I know, the better. But it was usually, just a meeting with, I was kind of the liaison in between the front and the back, to make sure that everything was right.
Are there any like specific bottlenecks that you notice like shops struggle with, or things that you've kind of ironed out a little bit?
I mean, I think the front of the house, at least for me, took the most time. It's if we, because we would put due dates on something that wouldn't necessarily be firm, but you'd have a soft due date. And it's like that I would try to adhere by it no matter what. But then it's like I kind of wanted that information. And then, the front of the house would actually put a due date that's actually 2 days ahead of what the actual due date is to kind of give themselves a buffer, which I understand. But then it's like,
but then it kind of screws you too.
It kind of makes my information a little muddy.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to like make sure I had everything I could and then just filter those jobs to production. And then like, I was like, I almost didn't want to put the pressure of like, hey, this is due at like 2 p.m. Like, I just wanted to make like, okay, I'm going to give this to you at 7:30 in the morning. It's going to be done by noon. I know that based upon these factors, it's going to be done around then. I don't even want to tell you. Here's what it looks like. Here's the screens. Here's how I want you to set it up.
Yeah.
The more stressed that the floor was about any of those due dates, I just felt like it didn't help them to have that information necessarily.
And I think that's something that I've been trying to tackle here. And I don't know if I've said it on the show, but I think I said it in like a newsletter where it's just kind of like, I almost want in this time right now to do like a reset, like a hard reset with the shop of like, we've been doing this for 16 years now. We actually just had our 16-year anniversary as Upstate like a week ago. Nice. And I just want to look at things that worked and didn't work over the years and like evaluate and be like, well, why are we still doing it this way? Or is there a way to improve this or that? And I think one of the bottlenecks that I've always dealt with for forever is just like the communication between, you're saying like front of house, like sales area and production, because I feel like production is just kind of like in this flow of like, well, we look at the schedule, we have the mock-up approval forms, we have all the Pantones, we have everything we need there to produce. But there's all this complicated shit when it comes to like, well, the customer wants this or the customer's expecting this thing. And then it's like, then there just ends up being all this like added pressure on certain things of like, they're going to be coming in and this thing and, oh, this guy's a dick and like whatever. And it's like, does production need to know that? Like, is that going to stress them out more to get things done? Or someone's going to take this a different way than someone else will? It's almost like we had to talk a little while ago. It was like, all right, well, the office should communicate to one person, and then that one person can take it to production manager and be like, those two talk. Like, it doesn't need to be someone from production comes in and they're like, oh my God, next week is going to be like, one of the salespeople will be like, you're going to fucking hate this job. There's like, 10 color changes. Like, why are you hyping them up? Like, why are you even saying anything? Because then they're going to walk out and be like, oh, everything's fucked. And it's like, no, like, that person that's in the office is just hyping you. Like this doesn't need to happen.
That's what I was trying to get away from as much as I possibly could. And it's hard to like get 100% away of stuff like that. We're like, oh dude, this one's going to suck. Like it's going to ruin our day. But like as much of that I could keep off of them where it's just like, dude, like, here's the jobs. Everything's cool. They're just t-shirts, because when they're,
that's very much Bill, where it's just kind of like, like he's like, guys, we're going to crush this. You know what I mean? Like go out there. He's going to be like, yeah, we got this, whatever. And 99.9% of the time, that's exactly how it goes anyway. Like there was nothing wrong with the job. It didn't suck. It was just another job on the schedule and they fucking crushed it. And the team did an awesome job and everyone left at 4:30 instead of 5. Like that's usually how it goes anyway. Because they know what they're doing, they're capable, they're awesome people, and it's just there's this negative energy that doesn't need to happen. So what I'm saying is I want to look at some of these things and kind of like start a list of bottlenecks of things where it's like We had one a little while ago, which I don't know if you guys did or not, but like on our mock-up forms, we used to just put, because the office picks the Pantones. Like everyone's got a Pantone book. Everyone's looking at their monitor and whatever and being like, oh, well, I want to use these colors. Well, one thing that we always had an issue with was production would kind of see those colors and not know, like, is this the word of the Lord? Or is this like, I have flexibility here? Because someone might have picked 7123, but we have 7124 that looks very, very similar. Can I use 1.4 instead of having to mix a new color because we have 9,000 colors to choose from right here? Or like, all these different factors. So we ended up putting a thing on the mockup form that says customer supplied Pantones or like in-house picked Pantones. So if they're in-house picked, it was just somebody in the office's opinion. It wasn't like this is from a tech pack of like a customer because this is their branding colors. And that made like a huge difference because now they know going into it, like, okay, there's some flexibility. So they could switch a color out in the shop, note it for a future job, and then bring it in for approval. And then office is like, yeah, it looks great. And then run it instead of like, mixing all these colors they didn't have, bringing it in and then production. And then the salesperson being like, I don't really like that green. Can we change it? Because then they just are like, well, I had to fucking mix this color. And now you're telling me to change it to the one I probably already had on the shelf anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like one little tweak like that made a big difference because now it's less like friction between the two sides of the business.
Oh, sure. And like we attacked that kind of from the art department. So like I had the art department choose all of the colors that they wanted, but we used standard union buckets for some stuff. And then I had a handful, like we probably had 200 stock colors, right?
Right.
So I had like stock union bucket colors, but then I had like Pantones that we would use over and over again. So like 213 pink, for example, was like our hot pink.
Right.
And it's so if they wanted to choose a pink, they could choose 213, or if they wanted to choose a different pink, usually the art department was going to mix it, which was a deterrent on that.
They won't pick it because they don't want to mix it.
and I wanted to make sure that we were also charging for it. So like,
right,
we can just print these colors that are out of our like stock color library, and if we want to mix the color, we can totally do that. But now that's an additional charge, and a lot of the times that deterred customers from doing it anywhere. It's like, hey, if you want to use 74 or whatever, and I have this that looks almost exactly the same. I can do what you want here, but this one's $75 more,
Right.
And then they're like, I'll just do that one.
Perfect. I can pull it off the shelf and fucking use it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like the small deterrents, like making the art department mix the colors, because then they're like, yeah, my opinion on this color isn't as strong as I thought it was, because I don't want to mix that color.
Like, well, and sometimes we would mix the colors, but I would usually have them mix them, or I would mix them depending on how busy everyone else is or whatever.
My argument with that whole thing is that we've tried multiple things over the years. Like we probably have almost every fucking Pantone color already mixed, maybe 800 grams of every color on a shelf out there. And it's like Pantone comes out every year with a new book, and they've added 143 new shades of fucking tan. And then it's like, all right, cool. Well, every time someone goes to find a flesh color or something, they pick a new one that doesn't exist yet. And then we have to mix it. And then we end up with a shelf that has 4 rows of roughly the same color. Like they're so minuscule, like different. And it's like, okay, well, why don't we just like merge 30 of these and say that this is this color or whatever, or this is what we're going to use if anybody wants anything within this range. So that was kind of the thing. And like, we've always prided ourselves on like, well, we Pantone everything. Like we're not using, Blue Thunder out of a bucket or something. Like we're going to be like, we're going to mix every color. We're going to write down every Pantone so that when someone reorders, it's the exact same color and so on. But again, it slows production down when everything has to be changed or remixed or whatever. So I like that idea.
And usually there was a check normally done by myself. So like pretty much all the jobs had to flow through me since I was pre-production, where, okay, I know this job is coming up. I make the screens. I know that it's using all of these colors that we probably have, but I'm going to walk over there and check. And it's like, okay, we need, 4515 or whatever. I'll just mix it, or I'll have like, somebody who has time mix it or whatever. And that's totally fine. Or I don't know. It depends on where it's at in the line. And like, are these colors, like you said, the word of the Lord, or is like, do I have a little bit of grace? Like, can we pick this one over here? Like, and I don't know. Ideally, we're going to mix the colors. I mean, that's just how it's going to go. But in a real world production setting, corners get cut, which I don't love, but it's how it works.
But that's the thing, is it's the reality. Like, you're in the middle of the day, it's 3:00, you got a job that's a 12 color, and then you look and you don't have 6 of the colors mixed, and you're like, dude, like, how important? Not that it's not important. I don't want to say it that way, but like, the people listening to this are fucking screen printers or shop owners, not the end customer. But it's like, how do we get this to where we can get this job out done without spending another 2 hours dicking around with the colors or this and that and the other thing? It's like,
and when is it due? Is it on press now?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of that goes into that. Like, if it can go up tomorrow, sure, just mix it. But like, if it's on press now and we just found out that this 8-color job, we're missing 2 of these, like, that sucks. And just do it, I guess, or
Right.
the artists come out here and pick one, and then whatever it may be. But
what was your thinking? Because that was one thing that I thought was kind of cool when I had visited you guys a couple times, is just like, you really wanted to be in the darkroom. Like, was there a method to that, or was it was just your favorite part and you were like, I want to control the variables here?
I mean, I think that the darkroom and pre-production is where the magic happens. I mean, I think the presses and all the stuff are like super cool and all of that, but like, if you don't get it right in the screen room, it's just never going to be right when it rolls downhill.
Yeah.
And so like, I felt like I was the one that had the most knowledge on all of that stuff, and that's just kind of how it happened. I didn't necessarily want to be in there 100% of the time, but I felt like it was easier sometimes if I was. And it, sometimes some days would take up more time than others, and it was difficult to try to manage the people and manage the schedule, and then like also be a cog in the machine that I was trying to oversee. A lot of the times, especially as we grew, like, we would, for a majority of the year, everything was fine and I could manage all of it. But it's like, once we got into like, back to school or something like that, where, we really start cranking for like a month, it became really hard, where it would have been nice to have, somebody in the screen room just to like press the button.
Yeah.
But,
was there, because, I really trust your opinion on this, and you've kind of gone through a bunch of different things with this. And also too, like, when we did the camps, like, you were in there with Kevin, like, going over these things. Like, for shops listening, is there anything that like you specifically recommend, like, just diving into or researching or whatever for the darkroom? Because I know you guys were a little bit picky with certain things. Like, a lot of us now are using like thin thread, and maybe you order a screen a certain way, or you make sure you get this kind of screen. But you were also like super specific on wanting like metal halide for exposure and everything else. Like, how do you feel about when you were at Shirt Kong versus now doing Made Lab stuff and seeing a bunch of different products where you're like, well, I actually like this, or maybe this is the way to go?
Yeah, I mean, so I went from film to the iMages to the Douthit. And
I want to speak real quick. You were the person I learned with the iMage like years ago, where you were like, oh, I wet a rag.
Yeah, horrible practice. Don't do that. It works.
Explain what you had to do.
So the iMages or the STE, whichever one you have, it prints with it prints horizontally with like a liquid
inkjet.
Liquid ink. Yeah, inkjet.
Yeah.
And so what happens with the emulsions is as they dry, the moisture leaves the screen. And another thing that happens is they have, they call them surfactants. So it's almost like lubricants within it. And those lubricants will raise to the top layer of your emulsion, of your stencil. So the longer they sat and the more that they dried out, the more that those surfactants raised to the top, and those surfactants and that ink from the inkjet didn't really like each other. So that ink would spread, and you'd end up with like
it would spider out.
You'd end up with this like fuzzy, like bad edge definition, and just like all sorts of things. It just didn't look good. So what I was trying to do in the beginning was to keep that room as wet as possible, which is also a no-no. Like we talked about putting a fountain in, but I would like mop the floor all the time.
You could have made a sick fountain in there and put in some koi.
Oh, it would have been really nice. You'll have like,
that should be the new shop thing of just, exactly.
Yeah.
Little rainforest.
Exactly. But so I was trying to keep the humidity up in that room, which was not good for the screens, not really good for the equipment, but it made that ink work better with it, liked a wetter emulsion. So I stopped.
Which pause real quick is the reason why when people ask me now, like, oh, I found a good deal on an inkjet, CTS, and I'm like, skip it, go to the next thing.
They work. Don't get me wrong, it works. I made thousands. We used
it for years and years and years, and now that I'm not on that train, I'm like, dear God, thank you.
Yeah, but there are things out there that work much better than that. So what I would have to do, what I ended up doing was I would take a rag and just like spritz it with water and just wipe the screen down. And
wetting it right as you were printing, basically.
Yeah, I'm putting water on an unexposed screen, which is obviously awful. But it worked. I mean, I've solved one problem and created others, but like it,
right.
Yeah. So then we moved to the Douthit, which solved that issue. And then we had an LED table that, I never could quite get the LED table to cook them how I wanted. They were just never quite there. It was always a little under. I had breakdown issues and I had all of this. So I had a metal halide table before. I ended up going back to that, and I still love metal halide. I think it works great. It's
a lot of people swear like that's the exposure unit. Like that's the best way to cross link the emulsion and all this other stuff.
Yeah, it works awesome. You end up with, with an LED unit, you end up speeding up your exposure, which gives you a smaller window, less latitude to be able to get to that right point, like that perfect exposure point. Like if I'm only dealing with 3 seconds and it's best exposed at 3.7849, like the machine doesn't do that. Right.
Right.
So but with like a metal halide table, if I'm exposing it for 2 minutes, my window just got bigger, and with metal halide, you have the UV and you also have, different parts of the light spectrum that I do think help expose that emulsion and help really give it what it craves, but I've been exposed to the laser a lot more recently. And I was skeptical going in because I was like, metal halide is the way, but the laser has really impressed me.
It fucking rules.
Yeah.
We love
good.
ours. Yeah. The funny thing is there was a period of time, and I don't know if this is still ongoing or whatever, but there was a period of time where like you guys were doing it and we were doing it. And I think it's because we were trying out new emulsions at the time because we were switching machines. And then it was like very top of mind all the time where it'd be like, oh, we found a new emulsion. We're exposing our screens in like 4 seconds or something. And it's like, what the fuck? Like you said, like window of time to have buffer with whatever. You're literally like click, click. And then you take the screen out. Like,
oh yeah. Like I was doing them in 1.2 seconds. Like I didn't even latch the thing closed. And it's like, that's kind of cool, but it's like, that wasn't really a bottleneck for me, like that was the thing. It's like, I think it's one of those things where you have to, and I think LED has gotten better since then. I mean, that was years ago that I was dealing with that, but it's like, I mean, you have to do what's best for your shop. Like, if you're bottlenecking to where like you can't get your screens exposed fast enough, maybe the LED table is for you. But like,
the thing is like, I might be totally wrong on this, but I don't feel like I am, because it's just how the shop works and operates, and it's the best whatever. Is like, Kevin's going to hate me for saying this, but it's like, there's all these new fancy emulsions and this thing and that thing where it's like, oh, this will work for this and whatever. And it's like, I like a good, like, fucking, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like a tried and true, gives me some flexibility, gives me the option to do water-based or plastisol, or it gives me the option to be like, well, maybe it was a rainy week and I didn't test this thing, or the EOM, or like our humidity was off or whatever. Like, it gives us some grace. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind burning a screen for a minute and a half versus 4 seconds if I know that every screen is going to come out roughly like very, very close to being consistent. Like, what I don't like is, we only have a window of 2 seconds to burn this. If our EOM was off, if the humidity, like it rained for a couple days, the screen's just not going to work right. It's going to break down. It's going to whatever. But the manufacturer is like, yeah, but you can burn a screen in 2 seconds. It's like, I don't give a fuck. I would rather it burn for a minute and a half, knowing every screen works from there to press, than to have to be like, well, we burned every screen in 6 seconds.
No, and I completely agree, because like I was doing the same thing where it was like we were working with that LED table and certain emulsions, and I was trying different ones, trying to make sure like everything worked, and I just never quite got it to where I wanted to. And then it's like on like larger runs, I'm just burning this job like twice, maybe 3 times. Like, here's a second set for whenever they start breaking down, because it's gonna,
right? Like, it's gonna break down.
Yeah, like, and that just wasn't a good place for me to be. I didn't like that. I wanted to like this emulsion on the bucket says it's, it should hold up for 10,000 impressions. Like, why doesn't it when I'm doing it? Like,
because it's the same with any of these manufacturers, where it's like, it's the same with like press manufacturers, where like, this press can print 1,200 shirts an hour or something. It's like, no, I mean, possibly like with the world record holder. Yeah. With the world record holder loader on a black ink on a white tee, you can do that. But like, nobody is doing that for long, like, durations. Like, nobody in the shop is going out there and being like, well, I'm going to produce 800 shirts an hour on this press. They're going to hate their life by noon. Like,
yeah. And I mean, I was joked, like, my thing was always print faster, but that it wasn't really about that. It was about printing more efficiently. Like, nobody wants to run a press at 700 an hour all day long. Like, you can't do it. Like, you'll go home and just like lay flat on your floor. It's like, it hurts. So it's like, if we could print between like, 300 and 500 all day long, I wanted to save, like, that was fine, because that's like sustainable. What I wanted to do was make sure that we could like cut down the in-between time, like the setups and the teardowns, and like, how can I make this, like, we talked about like pit crew stuff all the time. Just like, get it out, get it in, and that's where I think, all the pre-press stuff comes into play, where you have like, like a wax unit or a laser unit or whatever. It's just like automatically works with your pre-registration unit, like 3 points of contact, like bing, bang, boom. Like,
it amazes me. It amazes me how many shops still don't have like a tri-lock or a PRU for the rock or something. Like, they're just like, yeah, we don't mind like hand doing it or whatever. And it's like, I have people all the time. I have people all the time who hit me up and are like, I'm thinking about getting another press. What should I get? Or like, like we're trying to speed up production. And I'm like, well, what do you have for pre-press? Like, what do you have in the darkroom? And they're like, well, we're still using film. We don't have a registration system, but I feel like I need to get more jobs done during the day. And I'm like, dude, if you get an autocoder and a CTS and, a registration system for the press and all this other stuff, I guarantee you're going to get fucking 4 more jobs done a day than you're getting done now, because you're spending 4 out of your 8 hours of the day setting jobs up.
Right. Well, and I've had the exact same experience where I've talked to shops where it's like, I've talked to a shop that had like 8 autos and they didn't have anything. And they're like, well, my fastest guy is really fast. And I was like, I'm sure he is. But like your slowest guy is going to be faster and your fastest guy is going to be faster if you just invest in this. Like it works. Like I would tell people that like we got all that stuff with the developer and everything, and it was able to make me be able to do that job pretty easily. That's why I was able to wear so many hats, because I was just like, it just works.
Mm-hmm.
But like we took the reg marks off our screens like 6 years ago.
Yeah, us too. We have no registration marks at all.
Like it's a beautiful thing. Like you still have to make micros. It's not like 100% perfect, but man, it gets you so
but
close.
with micros and a loop, you can figure out exactly where it's got to go right then and there and tweak it on press. You don't have to tape off registration marks. You never have that, oh shit, I just did one revolution on a 16 color press in discharge of, I forgot to tape the registration marks off and now 16 shirts are ruined. And it's like, you never have to deal with that shit. You just lock it in. It's 99% of the way there, if not 100% of the way there on most jobs. And then you just go, you run. Like we could set up, a fucking 8 color job in minutes. It's not like, this took us an hour to do. It's like, well, we locked it in, click, click, click all the way around, put ink in, did a test print. Cool. Yeah. Everything's good to go. Run it. Like that's the end of it. There's no, I had to get out the hammer. The bottom's not lining up or this, that, and the other thing. It's like, just go. Like it's so important to dial in pre-press that it's like, that should be your first investment, not your last investment.
I completely agree. I think it's worth so much more than like you said, somebody wanting to buy another press to get more stuff out. If you don't have all that stuff already, that's absolutely not what you need to do. Like you need to work on pre-press and making sure that all that stuff is dialed, and then everything else just, because it's like, even with this, with the MAID training and support program, it's like, it's the first place I go where it's like, everybody's like, oh, we're having this problem on press. And I was like, okay, I'm going to walk in here first though, you know, because of like, if I know what's happening in here, it's going to make fixing the problem that's out there 100 times easier. I don't want to try and reverse engineer it and paddle up river. I guarantee there's a lot of things wrong, it's in there.
There's a lot of things too that come with that, where it's like, okay, well, what are your bottlenecks on press? And people will be like, well, we have a lot of jobs that have pinholes. It's like, okay, cool. Well, what kind of exposure unit are you using? Well, we have this thing and we have this glass, whatever, that's like 100 years old. It's like, and then you go look at the glass and it looks like the fucking galaxy. There's like dots all over it and whatever. And it's like, well, 90% of your problem is the glass is fucking dirty. Or like, what if you switch to a wax or a laser or whatever, where you have no glass at all? Or even like the inkjet, like you don't need the glass. You take it out, you put it on, it's directly light to the screen. Half of your pinhole issues are gone. And it's like, all right, cool. Well, do you have a dusty ass fan in the darkroom blowing dust on your screens while they're drying and then leaving dust particles on the screen with a halo around it? And then it breaks down and you end up with pinholes all over the place. It's like stupid shit like that you get rid of. And you're like, cool, well, we can run more jobs today because we didn't spend a half an hour taping off pinholes.
Oh yeah.
It's just stupid shit like that people don't stop and be like, okay, well, let's get all of these variables like down as much as possible so that we can just run and print jobs and not stop.
Exactly. And that was like my big thing, is like, I wanted to know where we were, where I wanted to be. Like, I need to know where I want to get to and what direction I need to move in. But it's like, now I need to measure these things. It's like scientific method, like I need to figure out where I'm at, figure out where I need to go. And it's like, if I can invest in some of this stuff to make it easier, awesome. If not, I guarantee we can find a way to get there without the autocoder and without this and without that, but I do think that those tools are awesome. Like the autocoder is the unsung hero of the screen printing shop.
I agree. I think that should be everybody's like first purchase.
It's an incredible purchase. It's just because
it's such a simple machine too. It's like, it's not complicated.
No. And then but it's all like pre-press. I mean, Kevin says it all the time. It's all about consistency. It doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter as much what you're using or anything, or even how you're doing it. As long as you're doing it the same way every single time,
You can't measure
Like,
anything if you don't have that consistency.
Right. Like, because if you're just doing it and it's all willy nilly, you're going to get willy nilly results, and you're going to be like, well, why is this going wrong on press? And it's like, well, how'd you do it? It's like, I don't know.
Right.
It's like, well, that's why we got to figure it out.
Right. Like, oh, I came in extra tired because me and my girlfriend got in a fight last night and I coded this screen, but I wasn't really paying attention because I was in the middle of texting her my issues and whatever. And it's like, oh, cool. Well, that's why this screen's fucked. Because like you were just looking over here doing this thing, and then the screen looks like hell. Like, you wouldn't have that if you had the autocoder. You put the screen in, hit the button, then text your girlfriend. Like,
Right. Well, and that's what's great about the autocoder. It's like, and I talk to people about those all the time. They're like, well, it's slow. And I was like, yeah, I can code a screen faster by hand, but that's not what that machine does. It doesn't do it faster. It does it more consistently.
Right.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. Was there anything that you ran into then or even now that you can see as like, because that's something I kind of want to look more into too, is just like tracking things or having maybe like an AI software or even a Monday board or something like that, which I think you guys used was Monday, to kind of track those variables.
Yeah. So like, I tried to count as much as I possibly could. So I counted every single impression, every screen, everything. So we really wanted to like develop an app where QC at the end of the dryer could, okay, we're printing this job, invoice number, whatever, it's 6 screens. I press a button, setup time starts now. They're done setting up, approval, like how long did it take? And I always wanted to figure out how, like, what was my actual production time versus my downtime,
Right.
including setup and like literally every other moment that wasn't shirts going down the belt. And how can we maximize that number? And it was like, you end up looking at like, seconds and all this stuff, and it gets really deep. But I mean, when you're trying to do, tens of thousands of impressions a week on 2 presses with like 8 guys, like now these seconds matter. Like what is your index delay? Like, what is like all this stuff. And I wanted to be able to count it all and track it all and try and put that together to see where we were, to see what I could change, or if we could change it to make it a tiny bit better. But you had to count it all.
Right. And I think nowadays a lot of these new presses are starting to add that stuff in where they have, like start and stops and kind of keeping all those metrics. Have you ran into any of those with some of the new stuff you're playing around with now?
Yeah, so I'm playing around with a lot of the rock presses, and they do stuff like that. And like even the M&Rs like will graph your production and stuff like that too. You do have to, as the operator, input that information and like, press start, press stop, and like it's not going to do it for you if you don't use it the way it's meant to be used. But I think that type of stuff is great. And it's just like the more information you have, the better off.
Even for the ease of scheduling, you know what I mean? Like knowing with every job,
I mean,
you're like, oh, this is a 1 color front, 4 color back. What is the history or what are my notes on this of like how long this is going to take? And then you can more properly schedule jobs.
Exactly. It's like, exactly. So like if I can get enough data of like, how long does it normally take me to set up a double white job? And then I can take that average and then like apply it to like, something that's real where I can like schedule these jobs in real time. Like I always wanted to get to the point where it's like, okay, like if somebody comes in and they need their shirt today and it's not a firm due date, maybe it's just whatever. It's like, okay, I can type it in and I will have it to you at 2:00 next Thursday. And that sounds crazy, but like that would be awesome. And then like I think that the customer would like really appreciate something like that. And I think you'd have to give yourself, some grace and some leeway in there. But I think being able to schedule something like that fine-tuned would be awesome. But you have
you have to do it though. That's the problem, is you have to put in the time, and it takes a long time, and you have to get everybody on board to do it as well, which is doable. It just takes a little bit of finesse.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one last production. I had a bunch of questions, but I kind of want to get into the Made Lab stuff. What advice would you give a small shop who's thinking about hiring a production manager? Like, we kind of hinted on things a little bit of like, give them grace, let them do their thing, whatever else. But what would you say is like, hey, this is a big job and this is the kind of person, the kind of person you need, and like B, what should their job role actually be and look like?
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I think giving them grace, giving them room to breathe within that role, letting them be kind of autonomous and kind of run with it. I think the most important thing in hiring a production manager, or really anything that I was looking when I was hiring anybody on the floor, was just somebody with a good attitude who I thought was going to care. You know, it wasn't even about like what their skills are, or like, you know, if you have any experience or anything like that. I was just looking for somebody who I thought was going to have a good attitude and vibe and be willing to try, you know.
That's like our number, like, I don't know if this is sad or not, but like our number one criteria for hiring somebody is good vibes. Like, you don't need to have an awesome resume. You don't need to have anything other than transportation and good vibes. Like, if you are a person who, when you're here, you're ready to work between the hours that we ask you to work, and you have a way to get to work, we can figure the rest out. Like, we can train you. Yeah. We can like get you where you need to go. Like, if you just are like walk in and you're like, hey dude, like, let's fucking go, let's work, then that's it. That's all I care about. Like, we can figure the rest out. Like, I
completely agree. And that sounds, you know, that's dumbing it down a lot, but it's super true. Like,
but it's though, to a degree. It's like, that's like the only thing I care about at this point. Like, can you hang? Are you not a crazy person? Do you have no drama or little drama? Like, those are the number one check boxes.
Every time we interviewed somebody, it was a test. You know, it was like, when did they show up? How early were they? Were they on time? Were they 10 minutes early? Were they 15 minutes early? Because like, if you were 5 minutes late, you didn't get the job. Even if you were great, you know, it was just like, and like, I don't know. It's just like, I wanted somebody who was going to be willing. And it's not even that you had to be good. You had to want to try to be good, you know?
Your heart had to be there. That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
Because if you had, I feel like if the person has that willingness to learn, you can teach them.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, you finish that part of your life and you decide to roam around a little bit. Did you learn or figure anything out in your roamings? Because you got to visit some fun shops. Like, you went and hung out with our good buddy Tyler at TC.
Yeah, I was at TC for a couple of weeks, kind of hired gun.
Just talked about you a couple of days ago because Tyler was here. He had an event at Lake Placid, and then he drove down here and hung out. And we went again back to the casino and had dinner and hung out. And he stayed at my place and whatever. But he was saying that a couple weeks ago or something, he was super slammed, and he was like, "Oh, I wish I could have called Kyle again," but he had to go get a fucking real job. So what was that like? What is it like being a hired gun as a print guy? Is it weird, or is it like, hell yeah, I get to come in and flex?
I mean, I thought it was fun. I mean, and I'm not going to say that I'm the best printer of the world, like, but
but I'm saying, like, you walk into somebody's shop with some degree of like, I can handle this. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, sure. Well, and like, I have press, I have shirts, I have ink, I know what I'm doing to a degree. You know what I mean?
Right. And like, and Tyler's shop was easy to walk into because he runs a nice shop.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was like, you know, it was fun. I learned from them. They learned from me. You know, it's been a really cool experience to like get to walk into a lot of different shops, and like, because I lived in the Shirt Kong bubble for a long time. And it's like, I think we at Shirt Kong made a great shop, and we had great processes, and you know, we did a really good thing. But like, it's been cool to like go into other shops where it's like, okay, I don't like that, but that's an incredible idea.
And it's always something small and stupid. It's always like, they use that cart Or like they have these spray bottles, or they put marker on that. It's always something like little, like it's something they never think about either. And you're like, oh my God, like why are you taking a picture of those floor mats? And it's like, because I never thought of that. You know what I mean? It's never like
those are awesome,
right?
and I think that's what's been like the coolest part, and like just like being able to connect with people that are like like-minded, who are like just stoked on screen printing like myself.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. I get to travel around and talk about screen printing all day, which is
it rules. What was the deciding factor with you with MadeLab? Why did you want to go there?
I just think that they have it's this like it's this larger idea of to try to make the industry better as a whole and try to connect the garment manufacturers with the decorators and all of this stuff where they're some of those things are kind of broken apart, and it's like there's
a bit of a disconnect
so many,
sometimes.
Sure, because like we're in this industry, but like this industry also has all of these other industries like garment manufacturing and ink manufacturing and all this kind of stuff, and those pieces don't necessarily talk to each other as much as they should, to where I feel like decorators and ink manufacturers sometimes are just trying to catch up to the garment manufacturers, where it's like if we can create a broader, like a bigger like lines of communication, it just helps all of us,
Right.
And I think that's a super cool idea.
I had Brett and Justin on a little while ago talking about print hustlers, and I kind of asked Brett this question. I was like, dude, I'm very involved in industry stuff, and I know MadeLab exists and you guys are great. I've been there a bunch of times, but what is it exactly? What is your focus? Like, what is it you guys are trying to do? Because when I've been there, it's been for a class, like a water-based camp or a whatever, like something is being hosted there. Like, what is the day-to-day focus of MadeLab? I know you guys are doing testing for some of these apparel manufacturers, like, oh, okay, how do these print or whatever, giving them data and feedback. But like, what else is there? Because you're there doing stuff. Like, you're not just walking into a facility testing shit all day. You're now going around to do other things. So can you break it down for me? Like, what is actually happening?
Yeah. So, I mean, MadeLab does several things. So the day-to-day is the testing at the lab itself for garments. They're printing on them with, different decoration applications, and then giving feedback on that so that information can go back to SNS's website or the manufacturer website or whatever. So you can have, kind of best practices and kind of a baseline for where you need to start with what is the best way to decorate on this garment.
Right.
And that's kind of the day-to-day. And then there's also the events, and like workshops and stuff that we host. And then as far as me, I'm in charge of training and support. So it's kind of that I'm like going out to shops. I could come out to your shop. There's different packages that we offer where I can like.
So you're almost like a consultant that I'm hiring through MadeLab to come out and help me get my shit in order? Basically.
Okay. In a way. That I don't think they like to use the word consultant, but like that's kind of what's going on. Where I can just come out, observe what you guys are doing, and then hopefully after 3 days, 5 days, a week, whatever it may be, whatever is the.
If they don't want to say consultant, do we say like Geek Squad? Like you're the Best Buy Geek Squad of MadeLab? Like, do you guys have a rad name like that?
I mean, we could start one.
Yeah, I think you need to, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but it's been really fun where I can like go and, kind of, I've done some startup shops where it was like, they bought like a whole shop package and didn't know anything. I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And like, here's how all this stuff works. Here's how we should do all this. And like, that was awesome. They got like a ton out of it. And then at the same time, I can go into existing shops and like, okay, kind of assess where we're at, like what needs to happen in the screen room, like what are some things that we could do better, what are some things we're doing good now, and just kind of like move shops along into a better place on the production floor.
Right. And do you feel like your expertise in those things is making a difference?
I think so. I hope so.
I mean, I know that's the thing. I'm just saying as a personal question, like I struggle with that. Anytime anybody asks me a question where they, I feel like I have a good amount of, like you said, kicked in the dick or knowledge of like, I know what not to do. That's generally how I approach when people ask me for advice is like, well, I don't necessarily have a concrete answer for you, but I can tell you what I've experienced not to do. So to me, it seems like I've always like, again, we don't like using the word consulting or whatever, but like it gives me weird feels to where people are like, oh, I could pay you to like talk to me on the phone, or I could pay you to come to my shop and show me this stuff. And I'm like, like, I don't like, it makes me feel weird in my stomach. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me like, do I steer them in the wrong direction? Like, is my opinion not necessarily the right one? Again, like I'm just overthinking that, but I didn't know how you personally felt about like approaching these places. Is it just like you in your head give them knowledge that to be like, this is the way? Or are you giving them kind of opinions on like, well, I think you should do this. I think you should do this kind of thing.
Well, yeah. And it's like, I'm not necessarily coming in and like overhauling their shop and it's like, oh, all new equipment or like whatever. So it's like, I'm working with what we have, but I think I'm good at, I've done this long enough with, a lot of different equipment types and film and different CTSs and like all this type of stuff to where I can work with what they have and like make sure that what we have in your shop right now is going to work the best for right now.
Right.
And then,
and that's the cool thing with the lab too, is you guys have multiple versions of the same thing, like multiple darkroom toys and whatever, to where you could walk into another shop and be like, well, I have experienced the laser, or I have experienced the Douthit, or I have done the eye image or whatever. And you can troubleshoot those issues instead of just being like, well, I've only ever worked on M&R. And it's like, all right, well,
sure. And that's what's been fun too, is like, I'm still learning myself, which is fun for me. It's like, I'm learning the rocks and I'm learning the laser and it's like, I'm learning all this stuff. And it's like, it's fun. It's fun to be able to like learn it for myself and be able to run all this different type of equipment and then like pull away what I think and pull away what I think works best, from those different types of equipment and how I can make that work in someone else's shop.
Yeah. And I mean, we all kind of already know the answer to this, but it's like, they're all good. You know what I mean? They all have they all have their ups and downs and they all have these things. It's just, so many people get caught up in, well, I only have a green press or I only have a blue press or a red press or whatever. And it's like, I think it's all good. Like it depends on who you're dealing with and it depends on what you're doing, but it all prints shirts and whatever. It's all on how you do it. Are you finding that, to be the case with all these different things you're trying? Like,
yeah, completely agree. Like I haven't found anything that I hated, it's just like, just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad, like
that can be the case with anything in life.
Yeah. Like, going from one press to another, like the ones I'm working with now, they print shirts just the same. I can make them look just as good, if not better sometimes. So it's like, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add about Made Lab or what you guys are doing?
Just that I'm excited to be doing it. And I'm excited to be here. And
that people can reach out. What you were supposed to say in that situation was you're supposed to say, reach out to Made Lab, make an appointment with me, and I will come out and
I will come to your shop and hang out and help you get better prints.
Have some Garage Dog beers. We'll bring them
There will be Garage Dog beers. I have hot sauce and pickles as well.
I was going to say, I need some pickles, dude. I don't drink beer. I have supported Garage Dog in the past, but I need pickles.
I'll send you pickles.
Okay. Send me some
and
pickles.
Hot sauce.
What else is going on in your life right now? Like you're traveling for Made Lab, you're doing Garage Dog, which is your own homebrew stuff. You're fucking building all kinds of wonderful things in your backyard. What's the deal?
Just hanging out, man. It's just, me and my wife in this beautiful house we live in and working on it and playing video games.
You're in your garage right now, right?
Yeah.
Turn the camera around to here. Let me show us what your garage is looking like. Look at this. Look at this setup.
Oh
This
yeah,
is
I got everything in here. I
That's
live in
awesome.
here.
I know. Do you have any shop hacks that you want to talk about?
Um, the one I really liked was so scraping final scraping of ink out of screens.
You're gonna
I
about
never
to talk
really
about your metal spatulas that you grind the corners
I
down
yeah,
on.
which I just think they work good.
All right, give me because this has always been my thought process. Give me your why not just use the flexible spatula over a putty knife with grounded corners?
I think just ergonomically, when you have that putty knife, you can kind of hold it like this, as opposed to like kind of like scraping it and you're like using
Side
your
scrape.
you're using your wrist in a weird way. Like you can get really good at it with that too, but you have a lot more real estate on that. They're drywall mudding knives, but they have
Yeah,
sharp
yeah.
corners, so I round them. But I think you can just kind of get in there, and it's a lot. I don't know.
I feel like it is better, but I just feel like it's another tool that I already have a dirty spatula or I don't want to say dirty, but like a spatula with that ink color on it already, where they can just pull it out of the quart and then scrape the screen and scrape it back into the quart instead of being like, all right, well, now I have another tool that I have to scrape and then wash as well.
I think that's true. We usually never use the straight
You were
spatulas for other.
using ink cards, right?
I was using ink cards,
Right.
which is wasteful, but like so the straight spatulas like you're talking about, I only used for mixing, and then because we had the big like wide mouth quarts,
Right.
so then those quarts would go out, and then you just use an ink card to put it in, and then when they took it out, like the guys didn't mess with it at all, and it went back to the ink department, and it was a different guy's job, and he used those tools specifically,
Right.
and he was able to get like basically all of it out to where you didn't have to like pre-treat it, you didn't have to like wash it again, it just goes straight in a reclaim.
Well, that's the tip there, is using a tool to make sure you're scraping all the ink out, that when it goes to reclaim, it comes out clean. There's not like gobs of ink on the back, because the chemical can spray on the screen or whatever, but it's not going to be able to penetrate through ink, through emulsion to break anything down. So that's why when people put dirty ass screens into their auto reclaim or whatever, and it comes out and it's still got ink and emulsion on it, it's like, well, you put a fucking dirty screen, like a really dirty screen in, like not a prepped, ready to go, ready to reclaim screen.
Oh yeah, and I was meticulous about how those screens were, how everything had to be clean all the time. I wanted it to be the lab, you know,
Right.
where I wanted
right.
it to be just clean. Like if I burned a screen and like picked it up to tape it or whatever, like I didn't want to get ink on my hand,
Mm-hmm.
you know. There shouldn't be any ink on it right now. We haven't, that hasn't started yet.
This is a clean screen. Why is there ink on the frame?
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. Did you see the new frames that Frank made that are like angled in?
I did see those. And I think that's cool. Like that might be a little bit easier to scrape out. I think they'd probably be like sturdier too, with just how the angles work.
Right. Like the
like they wouldn't,
science of triangles.
Yeah.
Wouldn't allow it to flex one way or the
Right.
other. Yeah. They just look awesome. Like I'm super stoked on it. And
Yeah, they
Frank
look
is
cool.
doing some fucking, always doing rad shit.
Oh yeah, Frank's the man. Like that's every shop I go to, I'm like, we need to get Frank in here, you know?
I agree. I just talked to him yesterday, and it's just like, he's just such a good fucking man. I love him. I want to give him a hug. Greatest shop fail. Give me a good one. One that you can tell me. It wasn't your company. If there's one that you feel comfortable talking about.
There was one time when we printed on, it was a contract job. We didn't order the shirts. And they were like these weird, I don't know, I'd never seen the brand before and I've never seen it since. But
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, they were 100% poly, dry fit, like hooded long sleeve t-shirts. And I couldn't tell you the brand, but like, so I used a poly white on them, PFP, and at the end of the dryer, they looked great. You know, we tested them, we let them sit over lunch, everything looked fine. was like 900 pieces. And like, I don't know how expensive they were, but expensive. And we printed them all. I thought they looked fine. We boxed them up, shipped them off. They're gone. And then a few days later, we get pictures and just like all of it's like so post bled. Like, oh man. They like
What
shipped
color
them
were
back
they?
to us. They were black.
Oh, okay. Did they come out gray or did they come out like brown looking?
They came out pink. So I don't know.
So they were like over dyed basically.
Yeah.
Like they were
I'm
probably red and then someone dyed them black and then you got them and then.
Or something. But yeah, it was just a huge bummer. And like, I don't know. I threw cases and cases of them into the dumpster. And then
You know
we,
what's
like,
funny
redid the
is
job.
You know what's funny is I always ask people like these greatest shop fail kind of things. And one of them hit me the other day where we were doing these tote bags. They were AS color totes. They were kind of thicker. And I was at the end of the dryer pulling them off. It was like this rush order thing. And me and Bill were kind of cranking out at the end of the day. And I think it was Barrel Maker who told me once, like their greatest fail was they had like thousands and thousands of totes or something. And like they stacked them off the dryer and then boxed them. But then like somehow the heat stayed in them so intensely that like it caught the box on fire and like burned all these totes. And I like the other day was doing these totes and I peeled, like I was stacking them like, you know, one this way, one the other way because of the handles so that when you stack them, they would all be like level. And then when I got done with a stack of 100, I like opened the middle and reached my hand in and it was fucking ripping hot in there. Like just in the stack at the end of the dryer, like not in a box, anything. So I went and got a fan and I put them up next to the totes and I just stood there like a deck of cards, like fanning them for like a couple minutes. Cause I was like, what I don't want to do is box these up and put it over by shipping and then just have this box catch on fire for some reason.
Well, and we would do that too, even just to like, cause I was just so afraid of post bleed that like, even if we were using a blocker and we do like, you know, say a large run of, you know, 600, 1,000 like dry fit shirts or whatever. If you're stacking those all onto a table and you have a stack of 300 of them, just like you're saying, you can put your hand into the middle of it and it's like, it's hot still. Like they just.
We have this really long table at the end of the dryer. I don't know how many feet it is. Say it's 14 feet or 12 feet or something. Like we have a policy that if we're doing poly, we lay them out individually. So we do like start all the way to the left, like lay a shirt out, and then the next shirt that comes out gets right next to it, like laid flat on the table next to it. And then so on, like all the way. So maybe you're laying out like 10 long sleeves or t-shirts. And then when you get to the end, you stack the next one on the one all the way to the left. So you're just kind of like, you're giving them time to cool before you stack another one on top of it.
Right.
Instead of just being like all on one, because then every shirt is basically fully cooled down by the time another one lays on top of it. So you don't end up with that like heat chamber of things just getting stacked on top of each other.
And that's what we were trying to do too, is like put them in stacks of 6, like kind of like let them breathe as much as you can.
Right.
You know, we kept joking about like we should get a like a walk-in freezer, you know, where we just like roll them in type of thing. But
yeah, I just want to cool them down as quick as possible. Someone was telling me this is a DTF trick or something. I can't remember who said it, but it was like to use a pane of glass for DTF to cool it fast because glass dissipates heat so fast. So like if you press something and you want to wait like for a cool peel or something, just take the glass and set it on top of it and like it'll pull the heat right out of the garment and then you can take the glass off and then peel because it dissipates the heat so much faster. I've never tried it, but it sounds really cool. And I was like,
sounds like
if that can save you time or whatever, then do it. All right, personal questions. What shirt have you printed that you're the most proud of?
I don't know. I printed a lot of ones that I liked.
There's got to be one
cool Garage Dog t-shirts.
That's true, you do.
I've printed a lot of ones for like the bands that I was in that I was really proud of. I did some weird. It was not necessarily split fountain, but like I had like a base green and I printed them all manually, and I had like 3 different greens, and I kind of like dabbed it around the screen and then pulled it. So it kind of ended up looking kind of funky, and then they were all a little bit different. Those were fun.
This is an off topic thing, but I watch a lot of things on like Instagram or TikTok or something where people are using screen printing more as an art. Have you seen this person? I'm sure multiple people do it, where they basically like paint with plastisol or water base on the screen,
Yeah.
and they paint the design, but it's like a one and done. Like they're painting
Right.
it on the screen, and then when they're done painting it, they take the squeegee and they just print it, and then they end up on canvas or something like a screen printed one off. And I was like, oh, it's so cool, but you can't do more than one. Like
Right.
it's all blurry mess.
Like you got to
after
clean.
one.
You got to clean it out and do it.
Right,
Again.
and you have to repaint it.
Right. I think that stuff's cool.
I always see things like you were talking about the split fountain. That's why it made me remind it, where they're like, oh, we're better than so and so, and we can print whatever. And it's like they put random globs of ink all over the screen, and then they print it, and then the one print looks cool. I was like, yeah, but that's the only one. Like now that you've blotted it all over the place in random spots, you can't do that again. Like you're going to pull the squeegee, and it's just going to be a blurry fucking mess. It's not going to look like that. So.
Yeah, those, and then like all the like hyper technical ones of like, you know, we were doing like 11 color like sim process bald eagles, like those were sick. You know.
Yeah, that's
those were a huge challenge, but like that was it was fun. You know.
Christina mentioned it to me yesterday. We used to print, which we're trying to get this customer back, for Macintosh, like the amplifier, like the huge company or whatever. They're from here. They're like 20 minutes from my shop.
Really?
But we used to print these like designs where it was like an eagle over the amplifier and stuff, and it had like the glow in the amplifier, and it had the whole thing, and then it was like a 12 color print, but it was all on hoodies. And it was like, oh, like this is a great print, but it sucks to do just because it's like making sure everything's dialed on these hoodies. But yeah, that stuff's awesome. Like it's so rewarding as a shop to look at stuff like that when you're done and be like, oh, we printed that. Like that's cool.
Oh yeah, like that's the stuff I was always super into. Like I would tell people like, you know, I always wanted to do like the big giant like million color race car ones, or like if I could print for like Gravedigger the monster truck. Like I'd be happy.
It would make it for you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what Brant does from Graphic Disorder. I was talking to him recently, and he just bought some brand new like 18 color Cobra or whatever he got. And I was like, that's what you need if you want to do those kinds of jobs.
Well, he's got big 1820s. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Current favorite band.
I don't know. I'm all over the place with that. Like,
it depends. It's a mood.
It is a mood. Like, and usually I start off the morning kind of a little slower, and then you gotta work your way up, you know. But I'd say two favorites right now. I'm doing Charlie Crockett, also the Marcus King band, and then there's this band called Cold Hard Steel. I'm really into. Yeah,
perfect.
So, way opposite ends of the spectrum, you know.
Yeah. What you need, you know, like I need that too. Like there'll be days where I'm sitting here at work and I'm listening to like super chill, you know, whatever, like the Midnight or something, and it's like more electronic. And then right after that, I'll go to like, you know, Hot Damn Every Time I Die, and then I'll go from that to like today. I had my headphones in and I was writing invoices, and it was the new Starting Line album, which is fucking awesome, by the way. If you're ever into that kind of thing,
I'll check that out.
Starting Line's new album is fantastic. It's like it's got the feel and vibe of them, obviously, but it's a lot more grown up. I feel like you can tell that they're, you know, how all these bands now are coming back, especially after the When We Were Young festival, that are like pop punk bands, and they're just basically playing the exact same shit, but they're just like overweight dads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're coming out and like fucking whatever. And you're like, oh my God. Like I watched a show recently where Bury Your Dead, this isn't emo, but like Bury Your Dead had a show, and like the singer came out and he was fucking beer belly dad, like came out and was like, let's go. And it was just like, oh my God, dude. Like he had like white New Balances on. He was like fucking ready to mow the lawn.
Dude, I've been joking with my friends for the longest time that I just want to start that band. Like, we're just like, I'm going to tuck my white t-shirt into my jorts.
For sure.
And and like all the songs are going to be about like, you know, cutting grass and drinking beer in my garage.
Exactly.
Like, it would sell.
Isn't there a, I want to say it's a hardcore band or something maybe, where it's everyone's dressed as Ned Flanders.
Yeah, they're like, called Oakley Dokley.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's the speed that we're at right now.
Oh, and I love that type of stuff. I didn't used to. I thought that was like cheesy and stuff before, but now that I'm older, I'm like really
you're
into all
like,
these
that's
like
the
gimmick
shit.
bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a band out of Indiana that I'm really into right now called the Chugs, and like all the songs are about chugging beer, specifically hams. Like, and I did Garage Dog did a collab with them, and it was like, it's just funny. The songs are funny. You know?
I just see like exactly what you're saying, like where I'm at in my life right now and stuff like that. And I haven't played music in for forever. I'm not like, I really want to get back into like playing drums and stuff once I get the house set up and whatever. But I always want to do, especially at this age, like a cover band. Like I want to have like my sometimes nights and weekends once my kids are like out of the house and stuff to be like, oh yeah, I just go play at the local whatever bar for 4 hours and we play like whatever, like a Van Halen song and then an AC/DC song and then our own cover of some other thing. I just think it would be fun as hell. Like just like, I'm just playing covers now because it's fun. Yeah.
And my buddies started doing that and they're having a great time. And they've made more money than I've ever made playing in
100%
the shitty punk bands that I was doing.
You know what? We're getting super off topic, but like I always liked when I lived in Georgia, there was a thing all the time there. It was punk rock karaoke, where basically it was a cover band. There was no singer. It was just the band played. They knew a catalog of all these punk songs, and then you came up as karaoke and you were the singer. Like, oh, I'm going to sing this, the starting line song or whatever. And the band's going to play, but then I have to sing to the monitor or whatever. And I was like, that shit would be fun. You could make great money. Be like, yeah, we're a band and we do live karaoke. Like, I feel like so many places would hire you just to come out and have fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's where we're at in life. All right. Last question. Top 4 favorite movies of all time.
Hook.
Okay.
With Robin Williams.
Hell yeah, Robin Williams. He's the best man ever.
I really like it was October Sky. About like they're like making the rockets.
Yeah, I just talked about that the other day. I feel like that's a super underrated movie. I feel like that is a classic for me.
It's good.
Really good acting in that movie too.
I really like it's Almost Heroes. So it was Chris Farley and Matthew Perry, and they're like trying to beat.
They're like they were like settlers or whatever, or they were.
Yeah, they're trying to beat Lewis and Clark to the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So that's super funny.
Growing up, my favorite, me and my brother watched all the time, was Tommy Boy and Black Sheep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Farley's awesome.
Yeah.
And then number 4, I'm going the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like live action one, 1991 or whatever that was.
Where you can see the guys in the mouth of the turtles.
Yeah. Where it's like the, Corey Feldman.
Yeah. I saw a thing the other day. I don't know if it's true or not, but they were saying that in 2026, I think, end of 26, there's going to be a new Turtles movie. Like live action Turtles movie. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. It'll be a lot different, but that's a good pick. I'm glad you picked October Sky. That's a fucking good one, dude.
It's a good movie.
It's great. It's like young Jake Gyllenhaal.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. We're just talking about how it came up because Christina was talking about her son getting him involved in like rockets or something. And I was like, I did rocket club when I was a kid in school. We just built rockets and we went out to the fairgrounds and we lit rockets off. Like you would put them all together in class and paint them and do whatever you're going to do. And then you would go out and just launch them.
Yeah. Me and my dad did that, where you could just buy like the
rocket
kits and then, and then like the little engines,
the different motors. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was fun. Well, thank you, Kyle, for coming on. I appreciate you. We've known each other for a long time. I'm glad we finally got to do this. And I wish you the best with Made Lab. You guys, are you going to Water-Based Camp? Are you going to be there for that?
I will be at Water-Based Camp. I will be at Print Hustlers. I will be at all of the things.
That's good.
From now on.
To see your face. We get to hang.
Yeah.
Do you have any other info on Water-Based Camp? Because I know that's coming up.
Water-Based Camp is in 2 weeks, I want to say. Right outside of Orlando.
It's right after Printing United, right?
It's
like
right after
immediately
Printing
follows.
United. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to talk
So if
about
you're into
water-based-
water-based printing and you want to learn
or
more
you
about
want to
it,
get into water-based printing,
right? Check out Made Lab and go to Water-Based Camp.
absolutely.
All right, dude. Have fun. I will talk to you later. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Later, bud.